Liam Hayes thought he could turn code into power. Maya believed image could hide the truth. Theo chased validation, and Riley trusted in digital shadows. But when their brilliance collided with the patience of law enforcement, their perfect illusion shattered, exposing how even the smartest generation can become the easiest to catch. Liam Hayes sat in his dorm room surrounded by cables, open laptops, and the faint hum of cooling fans. What started as a harmless experiment had turned into something far more profitable. He had discovered a way to manipulate online payment systems using stolen gift card codes circulating on obscure internet forums. It wasn't exactly hacking, it was exploiting loopholes that most people didn't even know existed. He told himself it wasn't a crime, just creative problem-solving. When he shared the idea with his 3 closest friends, the excitement was contagious. They saw opportunity in every keystroke and profit in every mistake others made. Together, they formed what they jokingly called Project Echo, a small operation built on secrecy, ambition, and arrogance. Their plan was simple: purchase high-demand electronics using the stolen card data, sell them online at slightly lower prices, and receive payments through cryptocurrency. The profits were immediate and intoxicating. Liam handled all technical aspects, ensuring that each transaction appeared legitimate. Maya crafted fake online stores with glossy designs and convincing customer reviews. Theo, who had a car and a sense of adventure, took care of collecting and delivering packages to drop locations. Riley's role was cleaning digital trails, shuffling Bitcoin through multiple wallets until no one could trace the money back to them. It felt organized, efficient, and untouchable. They weren't just making money. They were building an empire from behind their screens. At first, everything went perfectly. Orders flowed in from buyers who never suspected anything unusual. The group's confidence grew with every successful sale. They laughed about their cleverness, believing they had mastered the system. They saw themselves as pioneers of a new digital hustle, smarter and faster than the world around them. Liam even documented their progress on a private encrypted drive, treating it like a digital diary of triumphs. What he didn't realize was that each entry, each log, and each minor oversight was a breadcrumb leading straight to him. The success began to change them. Maya spent her earnings on luxury clothes and new gadgets, justifying it as part of their cover story. Theo bragged to friends about making real money online without working a real job. Riley started staying up all night, paranoid that someone might be watching their activity. Liam, however, was consumed by his belief that he was untouchable. He dove deeper into cyber forums, learning about encryption tools, VPNs, and anonymity networks. Every new layer of protection made him feel invincible, but it also drew more attention from systems monitoring unusual behavior. Meanwhile, across town, a cybercrime unit noticed a pattern. Dozens of small online vendors were reporting irregular purchases, all linked by a similar digital fingerprint. Detective Ava Monroe, who had been tracking these reports for weeks, started piecing together the connections. Her instincts told her this wasn't a typical fraud ring. The transactions were too clean, too calculated, almost as if someone was testing the limits of the system. As the data points multiplied, the threads began to converge. Somewhere in that web of activity, Project Echo was leaving a trail they didn't know existed. In their pursuit of control, the group had overlooked one crucial truth. Every click, every login, every encrypted message left an echo somewhere in the digital void. The group's confidence grew as their bank accounts filled and their social media personas flourished. Maya perfected her online image, presenting herself as an influencer who specialized in luxury giveaways and tech promotions. Her followers believed she had sponsorship deals with major brands, never realizing the goods she flaunted were bought with stolen digital codes. Liam admired her ability to create illusions. Everything looked legitimate, polished, and untouchable. The group began to believe that appearances could protect them better than any encryption could. Their success made them bold, and boldness slowly turned into carelessness. Theo became the first to slip. He loved attention more than secrecy. Late at night, in a private Discord server filled with gamers and digital hustlers, he began bragging about their operation. He didn't mention names or locations, but his words painted a vivid picture of a group making thousands every week by outsmarting online systems. He even hinted at the techniques they used, unaware that someone in the group had grown suspicious. That anonymous listener reported the account to the authorities, describing what they thought might be an emerging cybercrime ring. The tip landed on Detective Ava Monroe's desk. Monroe had already been investigating a string of similar fraud cases. The report confirmed her suspicions that the incidents were connected. She began tracing the origins of the accounts, analyzing timestamps, payment processors, and IP logs. The data pointed to a cluster of activity centered around Oak Ridge, the small college town where Liam and his friends lived. To most investigators, it might have seemed too vague to pursue, but Monroe had seen patterns like this before. The precision of the frauds told her that the culprits were not career criminals. They were young, clever, and overconfident. As she gathered digital evidence, Monroe requested silent surveillance from local internet service providers. Each time Project Echo placed an order, a trace of it pinged across servers, leaving a faint digital footprint. Slowly, the puzzle began to take shape. She found identical shipping labels under different names, reused tracking numbers, and crypto transactions that matched the value of stolen goods. It was enough to confirm that someone was running a coordinated operation. She didn't move in yet. She waited, knowing that greed would make them expand further. Inside their small apartment, Liam was unaware that their network was unraveling. He continued refining his custom software, believing it made them untraceable. What he didn't know was that his encryption program contained a single overlooked line of code, a debugging feature he had forgotten to disable. It automatically backed up transaction records to a personal cloud account linked to his university email. Each successful deal was being quietly recorded in a place the police could eventually reach. Maya noticed small inconsistencies in their accounts, but brushed them off as minor glitches. Theo ignored the tension, convinced that their anonymity was foolproof. Riley was the only one who felt something was wrong. She noticed strange login attempts on one of their wallets and unexplained network delays. When she mentioned it, Liam dismissed her concerns, calling it routine internet interference. None of them realized that Detective Monroe had already found the loose thread she needed. All she had to do was pull it. Detective Ava Monroe decided the time had come to draw the culprits out. Her plan was to make them expose themselves by preying on their ambition. Using a controlled cyber sting, she created a false company website posing as a wholesale electronics supplier, offering steep discounts for bulk cryptocurrency payments. The site looked flawless, with realistic branding, customer reviews, and even social media pages that matched the tone of legitimate tech distributors. Monroe knew from her research that Project Echo was constantly seeking larger and riskier opportunities. The bait was set, waiting for them to take it. Liam stumbled upon the site one evening while scanning supplier databases. It appeared to be exactly what he had been searching for, a chance to expand beyond small transactions and score a massive payday. The prices were irresistible, the payment system discreet, and the website even offered encryption for communication. Excited by the potential, he brought the idea to the group. Maya was skeptical at first, suggesting it might be too good to be true, but Liam's enthusiasm overpowered her hesitation. He assured everyone that he had verified the company's digital credentials and encryption keys. The illusion of safety made them reckless. They quickly set up a fake business front under a newly registered name and created an email trail to make their transaction appear legitimate. Theo prepared to handle the shipment logistics, while Riley set up multiple cryptocurrency wallets to split the payment. Within 48 hours, Project Echo transferred the money to the fake supplier's account. They expected confirmation within hours, but none came. Liam grew restless and sent a follow-up message, unaware that he was walking deeper into Monroe's trap. The reply he received seemed normal, a simple invoice attachment asking for verification. Hidden inside that document was a digital tracker that embedded itself into Liam's system the moment he opened it. For the next several days, the group continued operating as usual, not realizing their network had been compromised. Every keystroke, every transaction, and every message they sent was being monitored in real time. Monroe watched from her command center as their activity unfolded like a movie script. She could see their usernames, their chats, even the encrypted file storage Liam believed was untouchable. The digital map of their operation appeared before her eyes: delivery points, crypto wallets, and the exact devices involved. It was only a matter of timing before she moved in. Liam began to sense something was off when his VPN connection dropped unexpectedly during a session. The system he had built to reroute his traffic showed an unfamiliar IP address attempting to connect. He brushed it off as a random glitch, but felt a faint unease creeping in. Maya noticed the group's marketplace profiles were taking longer to load, and Theo received delayed confirmations from buyers. Riley suggested they take a break and pause all operations until things stabilized, but Liam refused. He believed stopping would draw more suspicion than continuing. He didn't realize that their digital fortress was already crumbling from the inside, and the people he thought he was outsmarting were now watching his every move. Before sunrise on a cold Friday morning, the streets around the small Oak Ridge apartment were quiet. Inside, Liam sat at his desk, eyes fixed on the lines of code running across his screen. He had spent the entire night trying to repair what he believed were minor system malfunctions. His software had been lagging, his connections unstable, and a few encrypted folders refused to open. He convinced himself it was just a temporary technical issue. What he didn't know was that the system had already turned against him. The very screen he was staring at had become a window for someone else. Every movement of his mouse, every command he typed was being mirrored on Detective Ava Monroe's monitor miles away. The operation she had carefully constructed was ready to end. The tactical team moved in silence. Black vans surrounded the apartment complex while officers positioned themselves at every exit. Monroe gave the signal, her voice calm through the radio. Within seconds, the doors burst open. Liam barely had time to turn his head before he was pulled from his chair. His laptop continued running, displaying a live feed of transactions that would soon serve as undeniable evidence. Across town, similar scenes unfolded. Maya's devices were seized while she sat in front of a ring light, preparing a new video for her followers. The illusion of success she had built online vanished the moment uniformed officers entered her room. Theo was tracked to a cafe where he was waiting for a delivery confirmation. He never saw the officers approaching until one placed a hand on his shoulder. In his backpack were fake shipping labels, transaction receipts, and a flash drive full of digital records. Riley was at her apartment trying to delete data when the knock came. She panicked, smashed a hard drive, and tried to flush pieces down the sink, but the attempt was useless. Every file had already been mirrored to police servers through the tracker they had unknowingly installed weeks earlier. At the Cybercrime unit, Monroe watched as evidence flooded in. The scale of documentation was overwhelming. Transaction lists, usernames, crypto wallet logs, and encrypted chat archives all pointed to the same individuals. She wasn't surprised by their sophistication. What struck her was their carelessness. They had built an intricate network, but never stopped to question how fragile it truly was. Every piece of code they trusted had betrayed them. When the group was finally brought into custody, the weight of what had happened began to sink in. Liam refused to speak, staring straight ahead as if trying to solve an equation that no longer made sense. He couldn't comprehend how his perfect system had failed. Maya's confidence crumbled the moment she saw her social media accounts shut down, all her online fame erased within minutes. Theo looked lost, mumbling about how it had all been just a game. Riley kept her head down, silently crying as officers cataloged the remains of her destroyed drives. By evening, news of the arrests began to circulate. The once hidden operation of Project Echo was headline material. Monroe reviewed the final report, a faint expression of satisfaction on her face. The plan had worked without a single misstep. The supposed geniuses who thought they could rewrite the rules of digital crime had been undone not by force, but by their own fingerprints scattered across the virtual world they believed they controlled. Weeks after the arrests, the town of Oak Ridge buzzed with disbelief. Students whispered about how a group of young tech enthusiasts had fooled themselves into thinking they were smarter than the system. News outlets turned their story into a nationwide cautionary tale. Reporters called them the Gen Z Cyber Ring, a title that sounded glamorous at first glance, but quickly became synonymous with arrogance and downfall. The footage from their apartment, showing tangled wires, flashing monitors, and piles of unopened packages, played on loop during evening broadcasts. It wasn't the story of masterminds, it was a story of hubris. Inside the county jail, reality set in differently for each of them. Liam spent his days replaying every moment of their operation, searching for the single point where everything had gone wrong. He couldn't accept that the flaw was his own, a simple line of code left unchecked, a careless oversight that exposed everything. To him, the police hadn't outsmarted them. They had just gotten lucky. He convinced himself that if he had one more chance, he could have fixed it all. His mind never left the digital battlefield, even as the physical world closed around him. Maya faced the public in a different way. Her social media following, once filled with admiration and envy, turned into an echo chamber of criticism and mockery. Screenshots of her fake luxury promotions were shared across platforms as examples of deception. She had built her image around confidence and control, but in the courtroom, her voice shook as prosecutors detailed how her influence had helped disguise stolen goods. Every photograph, every post, every hashtag had become a piece of evidence. For someone who had once lived online, silence became her punishment. Theo struggled the most with guilt. He realized that his careless bragging in the Discord group had been the first crack in their wall of secrecy. He thought it was harmless, just digital chatter between strangers, never imagining that one listener would bring everything down. The realization haunted him through every hearing and every sleepless night. Riley, meanwhile, withdrew completely. She barely spoke during questioning, offering short, precise answers. Her focus on erasing data had been useless, yet she found a strange comfort in knowing she had at least tried to resist until the very end.